For this week's video, I want to do something a little different. So I've been wandering through a few new YouTube channels, some that are really up and coming, not even necessarily in the painting space or even the art space, but just channels that I personally thought were interesting and informative. And one thing I found myself really curious about as someone who makes videos was I wonder what videos this person has made that I should watch next, that maybe didn't get picked up by the algorithm and thus they only got 400 views on that video instead of 40,000. And I know that this is a big deal because I see this all the time with the content that I create. I have some videos that either because of the title or the thumbnail, they wind up getting picked up and just about everyone who watches this channel sees them. And on the flip side, there are some videos where I just think, wow, this is incredibly useful. It is speaking directly to, my core audience of people who watch videos, and no one watches it. Just for whatever reason, either the title or the thumbnail don't wind up attracting people in the same way. So this week I thought I would put together a guide of the videos that you should absolutely watch on my channel based on what your goals are. So I'm going to be going through some of my lesser watched videos that I know just hit it out of the park. They are a tremendous resource for a lot of the sorts of questions that I see you all asking me in my comment section all the time. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so what I've gone ahead and done is I have sorted my channel by popular, and unfortunately we don't have the ability to invert this search. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start scrolling down to much older content. And a lot of this content is in fact pretty old. So I probably won't jump right into some of these videos. I'm probably going to start with some videos that are at least a little bit more recent, just because I have evolved my approach to my videos quite a bit since I first started making them. So first things first, I have a few videos here that are pretty recent and thus their view count is relatively low. I expect this will even out in the next few months as these videos literally just get more time on the platform. But these three more recent videos, how to compose a painting without Photoshop, behind the scenes of mastering painting at East Oak Studio, and how to go from good to great at oil painting in 2023. These are all videos that I put together with a very specific purpose. So first things first, this question of do you need Photoshop? This is a question that I get asked quite a bit, especially by painters who maybe have already had a full career and they are wanting to get serious about painting now that they have more time in their life to go ahead and do that. And one real point of intimidation or potential hurdle for them is feeling really intimidated by something like Photoshop. This video tackles the question of whether you need Photoshop, spoiler alert, you do not, and how you can plan a painting truly effectively without using Photoshop and those kinds of tools. This also covers a lot of the basics of what you need for success with painting reference. This is one of the biggest problems I see. So if you suspect that there is a gap between what your reference is setting you up to paint and what you actually want to create, I would absolutely check out this video. Too many artists get really tripped up by the composition and planning process, and this video dives into exactly why, and it links to another playlist with a lot of other videos around effective reference gathering and composition and planning. Up next, I want to talk about this video on how to go from good to great at oil painting in 2023. So if you are new to my channel, I would absolutely start out with this video. This video really crams a big overview of everything I talk about in this channel all into one video. It goes over effective planning, it goes over mindset pieces, it goes over goal setting, it goes over creating systems in your painting process to reach those goals. So if you are new, I would absolutely recommend diving into this video. It has a great overview of so many other topics that I cover in this channel. And if you feel like you need a refresher, or you are simply serious about making significant progress in your painting practice, taking it to the next level, or reaching your biggest painting goals, this is the video I would start with. And then next up, for recent videos that I think are really underrated, I have this behind the scenes look at East Oak Studio. So this is a little bit more of a vlog style video, but I absolutely love it because it demystifies what you need in your studio space in order to really make tremendous paintings. Everything from the power of being with other artists, to some of the craftier workarounds, to having really expensive equipment in your studio. If you worry at all about what your studio might need, I would check this video out. It's really interesting to see everything from their lighting setup to the still life setup, and to hear about the experiences of the artists working here and get a behind the scenes look at what it's like when we all get together. Okay, next up I want to talk about this series I have on how to create master copies and how to use them to better your work. This is such an incredibly underrated tool. I would highly recommend that everyone watches this video. If you watch my channel, if you have a big goal for your work and you are clear on what that is already, I would dive into this series. It's a 4-part video series, beginning with this video on completing a John Singer Sargent master copy. From there, I have a whole playlist that goes into the planning through the actual execution of the master copy, and then a 2-part video on how I adapt this into my own painting and how I create an original that's in the style of Sargent. Up next is a video on daily painting, and this is a sequel to one of my most popular videos on the channel. If I scroll all the way up to the top, my most viewed video is how daily painting helped me to reach my art goals, and I wanted to film a follow-up on that I wound up capturing over a year later. And I want to address some misconceptions and some ways in which I think daily painting doesn't always set us up for success. In this video, I really make some distinctions between creating a consistent and regular practice versus a daily practice, and some of the downsides around burnout of trying to push yourself too hard in certain daily painting challenges. This is a recap of that video, and it goes into the things that I have learned since making that most popular video. So if you joined my channel because of this video on how daily painting helped me to reach my art goals, I would make sure that you find this video on how daily painting made me a loose painter and how it did not, and give that a watch. All right, up next, this is part 4 of the Sargent master copy series. I know it says part 2 in the thumbnail. That's because it's the second part of painting the original that is inspired by Sargent, but it is part 4 in that overall series. This is where I bring this particular painting to completion, and I talk about everything that I learned in the master copy process, and I really give you an idea of what to expect when you embark on this for yourself. So some of the things that I found easy to accomplish through this process, a further discussion of how I'm using it, and some of the things that were difficult or that I felt fell short, and how I'm working around those. This is a really, really important video to follow up on, so if you have loved some of my John Singer Sargent master copy videos, I would make sure you watch through this full series, including this video that comes at the very end. Next up, I have this video on my full oil painting process from photo shoot to completed painting. One thing that is really important about this particular video is that I walk you through the start to finish process. I show you what my reference looked like. I give you a look at what I had to do to that reference to adapt it, to make it ready to paint from. I talk through some of the reference that I captured that I did not use. I go through my palette, and I really give you that start to finish look at how I created this particular painting. And this is going to be really useful, even if you are not here to watch me paint horses or anything like that, even if that's not your subject of choice. This video is especially important because it walks you through that entire process, and that is consistent throughout my painting. So even if you are not here for the horse content, this is the same process I would use for painting any of the portraits of people that you see on my channel. Next up, are painting composition rules meaningless? This is a video that I really do believe is underrated. I hear a lot of people talk about, reading books on effective composition, including the kind of seminal work by Edgar Payne, and others talking about composition rules they've learned from Andrew Loomis. And in this video, I talk about where those books are really leading you astray. And I give you a step-by-step process for understanding more concretely what kinds of compositions you are drawn to and how to replicate that and capture it in your own work, rather than worrying about kind of abstract rules that are kind of difficult to follow sometimes and very easy to break. So if you find yourself wondering what to paint, how to create an interesting composition, if you worry about things like, oh, am I breaking the rule of thirds, or should I not center my composition, this video is for you. From here, how to save an oil painting that you have overworked. So in this particular piece, you see kind of a midway point of this particular painting that's on the left, and then you see the final version of it that I created. And in this video, I go over a couple things that I find happening all of the time, especially to painters who watch this channel. One is getting the paint on the surface overworked and feeling like that is unmanageable. So, that feeling where you feel like you're kind of ice skating on the surface of the canvas, or you're starting to create mud with your color. Once that starts happening, how can you get back control and ultimately save it so that you can bring this painting to a beautiful finish? The other thing I go over is how to, effectively identify issues with your drawing, like I have in this particular start to this painting. My proportions are all off on this version that I have over to the left. I go through how you can make sure that you are avoiding those problems and effectively fixing them in a way that still looks loose and not overlooked, as we mentioned. All right, stop worrying about talent if you want to paint loosely. One thing I talk about on this channel a lot is the nature of talent, the nature of skill building, and how we can go from beginner all the way to mastering our craft and what that process looks like. A really big piece of this process is letting go of the idea that some of us are just born with innate talent. So I dive into all of the myths and common misconceptions about that in this particular video, and I talk about how you can build up your skills without being worried about talent and whether or not that could hold you back. From here, art school versus self-taught. So one of the most common questions that I get asked from viewers of this channel are whether or not they're at a disadvantage because they have not gone to art school. So in this video, I walk through the pros and cons of attending an art school versus being self-taught. I break down the different types of art schools, what the pros and cons are of each, and how you can most effectively set yourself up to reach your painting goals, whether you are interested in art school or you are looking to be self-taught. Next, one popular topic that I go over on my channel is art block and creative burnout. I've created a few videos on this particular topic for this channel, and this one is really a follow-up to what I learned back in 2020 around avoiding burnout and art block. Specifically, I dive into what I have learned about the power of painting with other people. And that's just really an update to some of those other videos around burnout and block. So if you are feeling stuck with your own painting practice, I would make sure that you take a look at both this video and the second video about getting into the flow while oil painting. Both of those videos tackle some similar topics, albeit from different points of view. And so both of those can be of really great benefit to jumpstart your painting journey again. Next up, if you have questions about fat over lean, how you should use medium, how you should use solvent, how to make sure that your piece is going to be archival and really understanding how much of this do you need to know and understand and worry about versus, at what point do you just let it go and stop worrying? This video is for you. I suspect that this video isn't as popular because this is a still life piece that I did versus a portrait piece, but do not let the lack of portraiture hold you back from this video if you have any questions at all about how to, safely and effectively build up paint on a canvas if you're working in oil. Now, this one really surprised me for not taking off. 3 secrets to master oil painting loosely. There's a few reasons why I thought this video would really resonate. But putting those pieces aside, this is another one of those greatest hits overview style videos. If you are new to my channel, I would absolutely recommend that you take a look at this particular video. It walks you through an overview of exactly what steps you need to be taking to reach your goals, especially with loose realism or expressive realism in oil paint. Another underrated video here is how to get amazing reference for oil painting. This is a video that I actually refer back to quite often. So if you've watched some of my other videos on my channel, I might have already talked about this video. And if you've heard me talk about it and you haven't yet watched this video, I would really recommend that you check this out. I go over common problems that artists experience with gathering reference, as well as what you can do to set up yourself for success and get the images you want so that you are minimizing any guesswork between setting yourself up for a painting and actually being able to see it through to the finish successfully. This video on what Burnham's Inside Outtakes teaches us about oil painting, honestly, I'm not surprised this one is a little bit more niche, but really this was a bit of a passion project. I had just watched Burnham's Inside Outtakes. Right after that, I had to go back and rewatch Inside, and I was just so stunned and amazed by all of the amazing insights into the creative process, especially that we saw via Inside Outtakes. So if you want to really fall in love with the creative process, if you are the kind of person who is absolutely enamored hearing musicians or artists or writers or dancers or poets or whoever it may be talk about their craft and what excites them to make what they do, I would check out this video. I know this one is probably never going to take off in a big way, but I would still highly recommend it. All right, next up is another video that I honestly am surprised it did not take off further. This is how to stand out as an ALLA PRIMA oil painter. Really, this video kind of exists at the nexus of a few different key topics for this channel. So if you are interested in selling your work or painting professionally, this video is really a prerequisite for a lot of the topics in those videos. And one topic that I dive into here that I know a lot of you are interested in and excited about is how to find your style as an oil painter. How do you find your voice? How do you create something that you could not be more excited by or proud of, or simply something that feels like the truest expression of who you are and the aesthetic that speaks the most to you? Up next, I have a very new video. I expect this video will continue to rack up views, especially as we move into the new year, but it bears repeating that this one is just a really helpful all-around video. This is mistakes to avoid in 2023. And of course, I have my follow-on to that down here toward the bottom, how to go from good to great at oil painting in 2023. So if you want to go ahead and set yourself up for success in the new year, I would check out both of these videos. Also, as an aside, you can probably tell this video on how to compose a painting without Photoshop, where I do a thumbnail color study, is the prep that I did for this video on how to go from good to great at oil painting in the new year. So if you're curious to see what the full life cycle of this particular piece looks like, I would watch these two back to back. All right, and from here we get into my videos that a lot more of you have seen and watched through fully. All of these videos are ones that I would recommend. They all are either teaching you an important skill. This is another video that walks you through my full process, including the photo shoot process, or in this case, the process of finding a reference that was taken by another artist that I licensed, the process of adjusting that reference in Photoshop, how I set myself up for success by getting very clear on my vision for this piece, as well as things like my tools and palette that I used for this particular painting. Another really great resource that mimics this painting on my full oil process. Among these top videos, I have several John Singer Sargent studies and videos walking through that. This is the first Sargent master copy that I completed for this channel. Over here, I have my second pass at that. And then I have part 3 of that 4-part series outlining the third Sargent master copy that I made and showing how I adapted that into an original piece. Another video that is very popular right now is this one on how long to master oil painting. This is a question that I see come up for painters all of the time. It is relevant whether you want to make a career out of painting and you need a timeline for that, or you simply want to better set yourself up for success in being able to paint for yourself and really understanding what the path to get there entails and how you can make sure that you are focusing on the right things and not getting bogged down on the idea of one particular timeline. All right, with that, those wrap up some of my most underrated videos that I would check out, depending on what your goals are and where you are at right now with your painting practice. In the comments below, I would love to hear if you have any specific topics that you would like for me to cover or questions that you don't think I've answered so far on my YouTube channel. I always want to know what topics would be of help to you all, and I would love to hear that down in the description. And if you have already watched through all these videos or you don't have any specific requests, I would love to hear what your favorite video on my channel is and why it was so meaningful or helpful to you. If you love all of these videos, if you have found them helpful and you are not already subscribed to my channel, I would go ahead and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You should be able to find it on any video, or if you are looking at this particular page, that is my YouTube homepage. I would also suggest that you hit that bell icon and make sure you have notifications turned on if you like to know as soon as new videos come out. All right, I hope this helps you to kick off the new year in a big way. Until next time, happy painting.